I want to talk about Revelation 2, and it's the last series. So it was good. Revelation 2, and just like Revelation 1, both series that has good series, and the original Revelation has better mechanics, and Revelation 2 and the Revelation we hadn't had received for a while, but the CGI series we have, and the Resident hadn't released a remake or remaster for Resident 0, Resident 1, Resident 3 remaster, skip. The only thing that I have is Resident 0 and Resident 1 remaster. I think they didn't got focused enough to release a trilogy for an ad like a skip door to play for Resident 0, 1, 2, and 3. Skip doors or something for the next generation, but I don't think they didn't add it or add it to the series. And Resident 4 remake was a good one, and then Resident 3. I really like Resident 2 and 3 more year separately, 1 year after another, because why that was important that not even none of others were surprised that it was released a year later. Resident 2 remake and Resident 3 remake was good. It was better because it was released, and Resident Evil Village, and then Resident Evil 4 remake. It was good in those release dates. Even we got a multiplayer. There's a reason why the M2 ate Resident 3, because we have multiplayer. You never Resident Evil 3 remake, and you never have a multiplayer on Resident Evil 3 remake, and why that it was surprised that no one had a Resident Evil 3 remake, and it was a big surprise that would receive from Resident Evil Revelation. And why the M2 made it, because there was a multiplayer for Resident Evil 3 remake. It was in Resident Evil 4 remake, you have only mercenaries based on the original Resident Evil 4, and in Resident Evil 4 you only have the original series, and you have that. You don't have the multiplayer, and you don't have the Resident Evil 3 multiplayer too. That's why I kind of like follow the Resident Evil series, and the original Resident Evil 4 and 3. But then M2 came along, and it's nice because you never get to play like a Resident Evil 0 co-op on a next remake. I reimagine a Resident Evil 0 remake could be possible with M2, but they got removed from they were making Resident Evil 4 also, and there's like mercenaries, there's like DLC. M2 would have done like a Resident Evil Operation Javier, because it was a shooting game in the Dark Side Chronicles, and it would be a good timeline spin-off series, not just like Revelation, but it would be like similar to Resident Evil Code Veronica, where it's like Resident Evil Code Veronica, Resident Evil Vendetta, all that timeline spin-off name titles from Resident Evil. Yeah, and we will have played like Resident Evil Revelation, Resident Evil Revelation, those type of series. But like Resident Evil Operation Javier would have been, Resident Evil Code Veronica, Resident Evil Zero co-op. Imagine if M2 made Resident Evil for then just Resident Evil 3 that they have done. If they have done an opportunity, I think they would have done Resident Evil Zero co-op. Yeah, I think Resident Evil Zero co-op. We will have a different look in survival horror. A Resident Evil 1 remake with 4 stars members surviving and something like that never be in the forest or like a multiplayer that was from Resident Evil Deadly Silence that was inside of Resident Evil 1 and the DS, a multiplayer, but it was made by Resident Evil, and they would have done like a multiplayer survival horror type of thing. When you're in the chopper, you could be it won't be an open war, but you'll be in Raccoon City, and prepared, like go to the Arkham Mountain, like the original, and then you don't want to go down to the mansion because it's too scary, and then someone using the chopper fly away or use Brad. They could either leave the teammates or no. They could do that or something. Or like how Resident Evil Outbreak was. That's why Resident Evil Resistance was made, because in M2, they made Resident Evil Resistance. And that was like a Resident Evil Outbreak. And you will not get to have another like a Resident Evil Outbreak, a Resident Evil Survival Outbreak multiplayer series. That's why M2 did that, and even Resident Evil Village has a multiplayer also, but I think M2 was part of it, I believe, or not, I'm not sure, but if they do, that means that's why Resident Evil Village has a multiplayer, and Resident Evil 3 Remake with a multiplayer Resident Evil Resistance, that's kind of Resident Evil Outbreak. They would have done more updates on that, it would have been like similar to Resident Evil Outbreak, but more like updates on surviving. That's why Resident Evil Zero had a chance to be remake or Code Veronica, but it's been a while now since we hadn't had Resident Evil 4 remake did release, but not like the Resident Evil Zero remake where it could be co-op, or Resident Evil 1 surviving with teammates or friends, I don't know, offline or a multiplayer. And we hadn't had a Resident Evil Zero remake, a co-op, what it would be like with Resident Evil 1, what it would be like with a forest, with stars, what it would be first person, third person, chopper, I don't know. There was like a demonstration on that, on a demo, but it wasn't released. But it was a demo in Resident Evil 1, and it has like the Raccoon City. You go in the chopper, you're with the stars members, you leave, you're with a team, you're in the forest, and it's playable, and you go in it could be like how Vendetta was, where it's like that in Vendetta, where Chris Redfield was with his team, and then they went to the chopper to find Glen Arias, and then they were with team. That could have been like a multiplayer. Players are together, they're going, but like an open war thing, where it's a big map, and then the player that's playing like Brad that's doing the chopper, or it could be different characters based on the Resident Evil series. The characters from Vendetta could be in there. It would be like VSA missions. It would be like how similar to Metal Gear Mission Ops or something. It would be like that from Metal Gear Peace Walker. It would be like that. Teams, and then missions, or it would be like role playing type of thing, where they could be like, and they do a video on that with their mission, and they'll do like dialogues that most players do. I know, and then the Resident Evil, Brad, imagine if there's a player controlling Brad being a mission, but in the chopper up top, because they could leave the mansion to finish it. No, it would be weird. Kind of like that. If they leave the mission, the players could leave to the forest, but that would be difficult for them to go back to Raccoon City. That would have been for a reimagined open world with Resident Evil. Would have been, and then with Stars VR, or with surviving and have teams, and then working together and surviving in 4 stars. Wesker could be something. It would be similar to Resident Evil Resistance Mastermind added, because like how Resident Evil does with like looking in different titles, and they take some of it and put it into the series. Sometimes, not always, but if they do that, that would be cool. It would feel different, like how Resident Evil Village was, more like Code Veronica type of thing, and more like Code Veronica and Vendetta and Resident Evil Village. It was more like that, and if it was like an open world Resident Evil, I think that they would have put like zombies, or like Wesker Mastermind behind, like Resident Evil 0 or Resident Evil 1. You're with teams, and then you're like searching, you're doing your task. Wesker could be the one, but you won't know if the player who's Wesker is taken down, and then like it could be like based on the story of Resident Evil, like Resident Evil 1, like where Wesker mentioned, keep searching, Chris, there's one more, and then Chris keeps searching until Wesker disappear, and it does his thing, or Wesker could be the one trying to stop the player, like get escape from the mansion. But I don't think they would do that. I think it would just be the original Resident Evil 1 thing, original Resident Evil 1, and I think Resident Evil 0 would have co-op if M3 took part of it with Resident Evil 0. Like I feel like that would be more surviving, blocking doors. It would be more like Resident Evil Outbreak, because you're in a forest, and then maybe it would be playable. Resident Evil 0, I think it has more chance than Resident Evil 1, because like Resident Evil 1, like you're in the mansion, you're in the forest, but like Resident Evil 0 has more, and even has. If Resident Evil 0 would have a DLC also, because don't forget, Rebecca, after the ending of Resident Evil 0, Rebecca leaves and goes to the mansion and meet Reachers and stuff. That would have been playable like a DLC, and then it stopped. But that's why I think Resident Evil 0 had more chance, because like co-op together, it would be more like Resident Evil Outbreak, but it won't be like a big open world, But it does feel like it, because in Resident Evil 0, you're in the forest. You're in a mansion, and zombies could come in, or monsters could come in, or hunters, and something like that. And then it will happen like that. And Chris, and then you're working together with Billy and Rebecca to survive, and then go through the train, and then what more areas could be added to the train, because Resident Evil 4 Remake, it will be like similar to that, with the safe treatment to that, and then it will be scary, and then surviving, and then the forest, and then helping your teammate, maybe where it would be like kind of Resident Evil 0, no, Resident Evil Outbreak kind of, because how the mechanic works with the player when they're down, you pick them up, but you still carry them, to the next area or go to the safe room, but then the safe room is not safe because the zombies could like enter the doors and then block you, you know, that type of thing that could work with. But also an option they could kick the player if the player does like throwing or blocking the door, like that type of way. I don't think they would do that, but survival horror could be, you know, with difficult, no hope. But that's why I think Resident Evil 6 was more around the Resident Evil lore with the Resident Evil mechanics and then the zombies